week 12 of the fantasy baseball season, and what a quick season it's been so far here. And here's a few pitches I look to add this week on the wire. The first guy, Keegan Thompson of the Chicago Cubs. At Thompson, it's been a pretty decent season for him so far this year. I know he had a couple hiccups a few weeks ago, but he's bounced back with a vengeance, and he's pitching good baseball in the season here. For Thompson, 61 innings, 7-2 record, 49 hits, 21 runs, 21 walks, 55 strikeouts, 2 quality starts, a 3.10 ERA, and a 1.15 whip. So right now, Thompson, he's available in 61% of fantasy leagues. I know he's not on the greatest teams of the Chicago Cubs, but obviously he's a opportunity in this Cub rotation, and he's gone out there for most of the season and pitched well. June 17th versus the Braves, 6 innings, no decision, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 9 Ks, a quality start. And June 22nd at the Pirates, 6 innings, got the win, 4 hits, a run, a walk, 7 Ks, and a quality start. So right here, his next outing, a pretty good one once again, June 28th versus the Cincinnati Reds, where we know the Reds one of the worst teams in the National League and not hitting the ball well. The only thing here with Thompson is he's not going to get a lot of run support. We know this Cub team, pretty weak team this season here, after last season trading a lot of their guys at the trade deadline. But if you need a decent starting pitcher that's going to help you in ERA and pitch and get an opportunity every 5th day, I think Thompson's a good add this week, and I would go out there and get him. Next is George Kirby of the Seattle Mariners. So Kirby surprisingly out there in 47% of fantasy leagues here. And top prospect coming up this season on the pitching side of things for the Mariners. So on the season here for Kirby, it's pretty solid, man. 49 innings, 2-2 record. I know the win-loss record ain't all that great. 49 hits, 17 earned runs, 6 walks, 47 strikeouts, 5 quality starts, a 3.12 ERA, and a 1.12 whip. So Kirby, over the last few games here, he's gone out there and he's put in solid ball games here for this team. And the Seattle Mariners, the team, they don't play in that tough a division, so he's going to pitch good, I think, Kirby. He's got a nice matchup once again here versus Baltimore, and he's a guy that should be owned in more fantasy leagues. June 11th versus Boston, 5 innings. 6 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 4 strikeouts in that one. June 16th versus the Angels, 6 innings, got the loss. 6 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, a quality start. And June 22nd at Oakland, 6 innings, got the win. 5 hits, no runs, a walk, 6 Ks, a quality start. So right here, he's going out there, and he's looking real dominant and confident as the starts come along here for George Kirby. So right now, in all 10 and 12 team leagues, there's no reason he should be out there on the waiver wire, and fantasy owners definitely should go out there and get him because this kid's got good upside, and he's a good top prospect for a reason coming up through their system. And now he's starting to get things going. The next guy, Jon Gray of the Texas Rangers. So I've mentioned Jon Gray 2 weeks in a row now, and he's still under-owned in my opinion, still available in 54% of fantasy leagues. On the season here for Gray, 64 2/3, 3-3 record, 53 hits, 30 earned runs, 23 walks, 68 strikeouts, 4 quality starts, a 4.13 ERA, and a 1.18 whip. So right here, Jon Gray, he's gone out there over the last month of the season, and he's put in some good ball games for this Ranger team. And I know this Ranger team, another team that obviously is not going to score a lot of runs and not get a lot of wins for their pitchers. But Jon Gray, since coming off the injured list a few weeks ago here, he's come in and pitched good baseball for this Ranger team. June 12th at the White Sox, 6 innings, no decision, 3 hits, a run, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts, a quality start. June 17th at Detroit, 7 innings, got the win, 5 hits, 6 Ks, a quality starts, no runs. And June 22nd versus a good Philly offense, 5 2/3, got the win, 4 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 5 Ks. So his next outing, a good one at the Kansas City Royals, June 28th. A team that really don't hit the baseball, and a team Jon Gray could get those strikeouts up against. So right here, if you need strikeouts and a guy who'll give you some decent innings here, I think Jon Gray's a good add this week on the wire. And surprising to me, he's still available, like I mentioned, in 54% of fantasy leagues. The next guy is Roansy Contreras of the Pittsburgh Pirates. A Contreras, another guy unknown, in my opinion, in a lot of leagues. Still available in 62% of leagues here. And one of the top pitching guys as well, coming up from the Pirates farm system on the season. So on the season here for Roansy Contreras, 42 1/3 of an inning, 2-1 record, 7 hits, 13 earned runs, 19 walks, 38 strikeouts. So right here, the only problem with Contreras, He's not getting quality starts, but the ERA is a 2.89 and a 1.39 whip. So right here, obviously his whip's a little high here. He walks a lot of batters, but he's going to have control issues at a young age here in the first handful of starts in his major league career. So the last few outings here for Contreras, June 15th at the Cardinals, 4 1/3, 6 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks in that one. June 21st, first the Cubs, 5 innings, got the win, 4 hits, a run, 2 walks, 3 Ks. And June 26th at the Rays, 5 innings, no decision, 4 hits, a run, 5 walks, 4 Ks. So obviously the walks have been an issue. Obviously he's not getting quality starts under his belt. He's a 5-inning pitcher right now. But if you need a guy who's going to give you some decent outings, going to give you innings, not hurt your ERA, and at least help you in some categories in fantasy leagues, I think Contreras is a decent ad. He's not going to get many wins, obviously, going short into games and being on one of the worst teams in the Pirates. But I've seen a lot of guys on fantasy teams who are way worse options than Contreras. So 12-team leagues and deeper, I think he's worth an ad this week. The next guy, Tyler Wells of the Baltimore Orioles. So Tyler Wells, he's been a decent find here for this Oriole team over the last few weeks here. On the season for Wells, 64 2/3, 5-4 record, 55 hits, 24 earned runs, 16 walks, 40 Ks, 4 quality starts, a 3.34 ERA, and a 1.10 whip. So obviously, I don't know if that's going to hold in a tough AL East with great hitting teams like Boston, the Yankees, Tampa Bay Rays, and the Toronto Blue Jays. That whole division has big bopping offenses, and Wells right now available in 85% of fantasy leagues. But a guy for the back end of your bench, and it could give you some quality starts, and he's actually gone out there this season versus some of these tougher teams I mentioned and pitched good. June 16th at Toronto, 6 innings, got the win, 5 hits, a run, a walk, 3 Ks in that one, and a quality start. And June 22nd, in a pretty easy matchup versus the Nats, 5 innings, got the win in that ball game, 4 walks, 4 Ks in that one. So right here, another guy similar to Contreras. He's not going to hurt you in many things, but he's also not a guy who's going to go super deep into ball games and not get many victories. Obviously in a tough AL East and obviously on a bad team like the Baltimore Orioles, but he's going to get an opportunity every 5th day here, and he's definitely worth an ad in my opinion. And if he gets hit hard again, as well as you drop him, but he's got a pretty decent matchup at the Mariners here tonight. Even though I know the Mariners, they've been getting hot a little bit, but I still think Wells could go out there and give your fantasy team a decent start. The next guy's Paul Sewald of the Seattle Mariners. So Sewald, he's coming out of nowhere this season in the closer role here lately for this Mariner team, and he's pitched well, 26 2/3, 3-2 record, 6 saves, 13 hits, 8 earned runs, 7 walks, 26 strikeouts. He does have 2 blown saves, but a 2.70 ERA and a 0.75 whip. So right here, a lot of closes. It's been a carousel this season of closes changing each and every week, it seems like, for different teams. And now Paul Sewald is the flavor of the week here at the closing position. Right now, he's available in 61% of fantasy leagues. And if you need an option as your second or third closer on your fantasy roster, I think Paul Sewald's a decent option. The Mariners, they're middle of the pack type of team where it's possible he could get at least 1 or 2 saves per week. Here's Paul Sewald. And the last few outings for him out of the pen have been pretty decent. June 23rd at Oakland, he went a clean inning and got the save in that one with a strikeout. And 24th at the Angels, the same thing, a clean inning with the save. So right here, Sewald, he's getting opportunity. He's getting saves. And the Mariners, they're a middle of the pack team at least, like I mentioned, where he could possibly get 2 saves a week for fantasy owners. The next guy is Ross Stripling of the Toronto Blue Jays. So Stripling, he's been a surprise this season here with Toronto. And obviously he's got a great offense backing him over there in Toronto, even though he's in a tough AL East with the great teams like the Yankees, obviously, Tampa Bay and Boston. On the season here for Stripling, though, 52 2/3, 4-2 record, even has a save under his belt, 45 hits, 18 earned runs, 11 walks, 43 strikeouts, 2 quality starts, 3.08 ERA and a 1.06 whip. So right here, very good numbers. And he's been a guy in between the bullpen and starting this season. But over the last few games here, he's been in the starting rotation for this Blue Jay team. And I know one of the last 2 outings haven't been great versus the tough Yankee offense. June 17th versus the Yankees, 3 2/3, got the loss. 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. But then he bounced back at the White Sox on the 22nd of June. 6 innings, got the win. 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 5 Ks. and the quality starts. A Stripling here. He's going out there. He's giving this Toronto Blue Jay team quality outings, and he's still underowned as well. I know he got hit pretty hard versus the Yankees, but this guy's still out there in 67% of fantasy leagues, and he's a better option than I've seen some options on teams already in the leagues I'm in. And right now, he's got a decent matchup versus Boston, even though I know they can hit the baseball June 28th. But I think Stripling's a good ad and should be owned in more fantasy leagues, in my opinion. The next guy, David Peterson of the New York Mets. So Peterson, it looks like he's going to have, obviously, a rotation spot with this New York Met team. Tyler McGill, he went down a couple weeks ago. There's no timetable for his return. And Max Scherzer, one more rehab start he's going to have in the minors before he should be back with the Mets. And Jacob deGrom, probably August, he should be up. So Peterson here, I mentioned him as an ad last week with the two good matchups coming up for this week that he had versus the Marlins. And he definitely delivered on the season here for Peterson. 52 and a third, 4-1 record, 43 hits, 18 earned runs, 22 walks, 50 strikeouts. Two quality starts for Peterson, a 2.98 ERA and a 1.27 whip. So right here, he's gone out there and he's pitched good here. He's been up and down between the minors and in the rotation. But now I think he's definitely going to have a rotation spot, like I mentioned, with the injuries to McGill and no timetable for Jacob deGrom to come back still here. So he'll probably be the fifth starter is Peterson. The last few outings, June 15th versus the Brewers, 4 innings, got the loss. 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks in that one. But then the last 2 outings, where I mentioned them last week as an ad with the 2-start coming into this week, and he delivered versus the Marlins. June 20th versus the Marlins, 5 1/3, got the win, 6 hits in that one, no runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. And June 26th, a tough luck, no decision, 7 innings at the Marlins. Mets lost that one 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth, 4 hits, 2 runs, 8 Ks, and a quality start. So right here, he's been pitching good over the last few outings here as Peterson. And his next matchup's going to be versus the Texas Rangers. That isn't that great of an offense. So Peterson right now pitching on a first-place ball club with the Mets. He's going to have that 5th spot wrapped up for a while here, I believe, till either deGrom or McGill comes back, whoever comes back first. And he's still available widely in fantasy leagues at 67% of leagues. The next guy is Chris Archer of the Minnesota Twins. So Chris Archer, he's been pretty surprising this season here with the Twins. I know he's not going deep into ball games, but he's helping fantasy owners, and he's at least giving quality innings to the Twins on the season. Here for Archer, and he's been healthy, 57 1/3, 2-3 record, 46 hits, 20 earned runs, 24 walks, 45 strikeouts on the season. So Archer, he's widely available in 91% of fantasy leagues. So the last few games here for him, June 13th at Seattle, 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 Ks in that one. June 19th at the Diamondbacks, 4 innings, got the loss, 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 Ks in that one. And then June 25th versus the Rockies, a good outing, 5 innings, got the win. Only 1 hit, no runs, a walk, 5 Ks in that one. So right now, Archer, he's not going to be a big-time starter like he was, obviously, in his Tampa Bay Ray days. But he's a guy that could give you quality innings, keep that ERA low, which it is on the season, with a 3.14 ERA and a 1.22 whip, which is pretty solid numbers here for Archer. And he also pitches in a division where there's not great hitting teams in that AL Central. The White Sox haven't lived up to standard so far this season. The Guardians, they've had a couple flashes where they could hit. The Royals, they're just not that good. So right here, that division, not that all great with hitting teams here. And Chris Archer, he's gone out there at least, and he's giving quality innings. Not going deep into games, but he's definitely a decent fantasy option in 12-team leagues or deeper. And the final pitcher I look to add this week on the waiver wire here is Josh Winkowski of the Boston Red Sox. So Winkowski, he's come up baseball for this Red Sox team. Another guy not going deep into games, but he's going out there and he's pitching at least solid starts here for the Red Sox and for fantasy owners who want to get him in deeper leagues. Available in 90% of leagues on the season here for Winkowski. 20 innings, 3-1 record, 23 hits, 8 earned runs, 6 walks, 13 strikeouts, a quality start, 3.60 ERA and a 1.45 whip. So right here, another guy who hasn't really gone deep into games in the first 4 or 5 starts of his major league career. Here's Winkowski, but he's looked pretty decent. And I know he's had easier matchups. We'll see what he does versus the tougher teams in that AL East, like the Yankees, Blue Jays, and the Rays. But the last few outings here for Winkowski, June 15th versus Oakland. 5 innings, got the win, 4 hits, no runs, a walk, 3 Ks in that one. June 20th versus Detroit, 6 2/3, got the win, 7 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 2 Ks, a quality start. And June 25th at the Guardians, 5 1/3, got the win in that one, 6 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 4 Ks. So right here, he's gone out there, he's given some quality innings. Not going to go deep into games, but he can help you in strikeouts. He can help you get impossible wins here, especially get Payne Oman versus the weaker teams here is Winikowski. And he's a guy with upside, available in 90% of fantasy leagues. So that's a few pitches I look to add here for week 12 of the fantasy baseball season.